my favorite grade 5 scientists. How have you been? I hope that you have been staying safe and healthy and you have been doing lots of revision and utilizing this opportunity. I hope that you also have been making hay while the sun shines. Today, in our science lessons, we will be looking at materials and suspensions. My name is, as usual, Miss Yulita Brown Phillips. Let's dig in, boys and girls. But before we get to the actual topic, let's do a quick recap. What are mixtures? We would have learned previously in our science lesson that mixtures are combinations of two or more substances without a chemical reaction. In some mixtures, you can see the different materials, and in some, you cannot. We would have also established that almost all of the things around us are mixtures. Some examples of mixtures are a fruit salad, salt solution, lemonade, sugar solution, and so much more. We also learned that a solution is a mixture of two or more substances that are distributed evenly among themselves, meaning they have one appearance. When a solid dissolves in a liquid, a solution is formed. The solute is the solid part of the solution, the substance that dissolves. The solvent is the liquid part of the solution, the substance in which the substance dissolves. So, let's put that into an equation. Solute or solid plus solvent or liquid equals solution. The most common solvent is water. However, we would have learned that some substances can be dissolved in other substances. Example, gas in gas. Oxygen gas is dissolved in nitrogen to give us air. So let's get into our topic for today. Suspensions and the rate at which materials dissolve. What is a suspension? A suspension is a mixture in which the small particles of a solid are spread throughout a liquid without dissolving it. The solid particles in a suspension are not distributed evenly throughout the liquid. Let's examine some examples of suspensions. Mud in water, flour and water, chalk dust and water, sand and water. Suspensions may be classified as heterogeneous mixtures. Heterogeneous mixtures are mixtures that have substances that are not uniformed or evenly mixed throughout the mixture. Example, chocolate chip cookie, pizza, sandwich, a fruit salad, soda with ice. What is meant by dissolving? Dissolve is defined as to become broken up or absorbed by something or to disappear into something else. When sugar becomes absorbed into water, this is an example of sugar dissolving into water. The solute breaks up into much smaller groups or individual molecules. This breakup is caused by the coming into contact with the solvent or water or the liquid. Solids dissolve at varying speeds. Solids dissolve faster in liquids in different ways. Let's examine an example. Breaking ice will help it to dissolve faster in water as against having a big block of ice. Shaking and stirring liquids helps the particles to spread throughout. Not only it helps it to spread throughout, but it also helps it to dissolve at a faster rate. Heating makes solids dissolve faster in liquids. Have you ever tried to make some homemade juice with cold water? What did you notice? Yes, the sugar took a longer time to dissolve. You have to be stirring and stirring and stirring. As against if you had made it with room temperature water. Sugar will dissolve slow under cold conditions. When making hot tea or coffee, do you notice the sugar dissolves quickly? Why? Because heat, or we can say the rise in temperature, speeds up the rate at which solids dissolves in liquids. So, in cold conditions, solids take longer to dissolve. In hot conditions, solids dissolve at a faster rate. So let's look back. Mixtures. When two or more kinds of matters are put together, each kind of matter keeps its own physical property so that it can be easily separated. Mixtures can be divided into two groups, heterogeneous and homogeneous mixtures. Heterogeneous mixtures are the substances that are not evenly distributed throughout. Example, suspensions. An example of a suspension is sand and water. Homogeneous mixtures, the substances are evenly distributed throughout. Solutions. Example, sugar solution. Boys and girls, it is time for us to go to the lab. Grab your lab coat, your beaker, your notepad, and your pencil. But before we go to the lab, let us look at our safety note because safety comes first. Many household products are mixtures or solutions that contain harmful and poisonous substances such as bleach, drain cleaners, disinfectant, pesticides, and so on. Such products should only be used by adults and never consumed. When carrying out an experiment, you must always be under adult supervision. So let's head into the lab. Now, Kobe was in the lab and he is in trouble. He has to classify the mixtures in some beakers as solutions or suspensions. I am confident that you, my little scientists, will be able to help Kobe to separate these mixtures. So let's help Kobe to quickly separate the mixtures in these beakers. The first one, flour plus water, sugar plus water, salt plus water, alcohol plus water, and sand plus water. Take a minute, boys and girls, to get this done. I am so excited to see how my little scientists will classify these beakers. You should be finished by now. Let's go. Is flour and water a suspension or a solution? Did you say suspension? You are absolutely correct. Flour and water will result in a suspension. Why? Because the solid particles would be suspended in the solvent. Is sugar and water a solution or a suspension? Did you say solution? Yes, sugar and water is a solution. Why? Because the sugar dissolves completely in the solvent. Is salt and water a solution? Yes, because the salt dissolves completely in water. Is alcohol and water a solution or a suspension? Did you say solution? Yes, alcohol and water is a solution because those two substances are liquids and they dissolve in each other evenly. Is sand and water a solution or a suspension? Did you say suspension? You are correct. Sand and water would result in a suspension because the sand will settle at the bottom of the container, and in a suspension, the particles, the solid particles that is not dissolved evenly in the mixture. Boys and girls, thank you for joining us today. I hope that you would have learned quite a lot. But before I go, I want to ask you, what is a scientist? Someone who wonders, explores, draws, predicts, experiments, observes, invents, thinks, measures. You are a scientist. Boys and girls, keep aiming for the moon. If you miss, you will fall among the stars. Bye. See you next time.